Hey, everybody, welcome. This is US Home Talk. We are live every Wednesday at noon, depending on what time zone you're in, of course. But we are in the Midwest here. We are live every Wednesday, noon Central Time. If you're joining us on the East Coast, it is the afternoon for you as well. If you're Mountain Time or on the West Coast, still the morning for you. But we appreciate you watching us live. If you are here live with us, wherever you're at in the country, we are, like I said, live every Wednesday, noon Central Time here. And you can watch our shows or catch our shows at any point in time, wherever you find your podcasts. So we are your hosts. I'm Mike Overson with Luminate Home Loans, located in the Twin City area of Minnesota. Minneapolis and St. Paul. We have Jason Walgrave with the Walgrave Real Estate Group and Minnesota Real Estate Team at RE/MAX Advantage Plus. He is also here in the Twin Cities area in Minnesota. And we have Marcus Walgrave with Hegg Realtors joining us every week out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. We're taking your calls and questions during the show. So this is a live and interactive show. We talk everything mortgages, real estate, credit repair, things like that. And we want it to be interactive. So feel free to reach out to us during the show. You can either call us or text us. That phone line is 612-234-7585. Again, 612-234-7585. Otherwise, if you are catching us on Facebook, you can go in the chat section there and you can type in your questions into that chat and we will answer them live during the show as well. If you want to get a hold of us at any time during the week, you can go to our website, ushometalk.com. Or you can reach out to us on that hotline number. Again, that is 612-234-7585. Gentlemen, welcome to another episode of US Home Talk.
Afternoon. Happy to be here. Woo!
So we got a couple topics we're going to talk about today. So we're going to talk about condo financing and how that has changed starting or since September 18th of this year. And then we're also going to talk about the 10 most expensive mistakes you're making on your home. And actually, I'm going to add another one to that. I'm going to say it's the 11 most expensive mistakes you're making on your home. So again, feel free to reach out to us. This is an interactive show. Feel free to reach out to us with your questions and comments during the show there. And we'd be more than happy to answer any questions and have you join our conversation live here today. Okay, so let's talk about some condo stuff first. And Marcus and Jason, you guys might not even be aware of this, but Fannie and Freddie came out with new requirements that a condo association needs to meet in order to get conventional financing. Okay, have you guys closed any condos that you know of since September 18th?
Nope.
You think of?
I have not. No.
So I got number 5.
Twin homes and townhomes, but
okay. So I've successfully closed 4 condos since September 18th. I got my 5th one next week. Every single one has gone the same. So if we rewind back before these changes went into effect, typically conventional financing was the easiest type of financing to get on a condo because they had the least amount of requirements that a condo association had to meet in order to get financing on there. The tables have turned a little bit, to be honest with you. Fannie and Freddie have come out with a new set of rules, and it's making it difficult now, at least more difficult than it was previously to get conventional financing on a condo. What they're really looking for is structural stuff. So what's happening is that they have this condo questionnaire form that we have to send over to the management company or over to the association to get filled out. If there's any mention anywhere of recent repairs that have been done, any sort of insurance claims that have been done for damages from storms or anything like that, what they do is they start asking for HOA meeting minutes. So then they start looking at the minutes from all the meetings over the last 3 to 6 months to see if there's any mention in those meeting minutes of any sort of repairs and stuff that have come up. And if there's any sort of repairs or talks about repairs or possible assessments for repairs coming up, then they start asking for inspection reports and they start asking for all of this stuff. And so if you haven't closed a condo since September 18th, you obviously would not have seen this or have gone through the process firsthand here. But your first condo for you guys coming up here, just know that it's going to be different. And it's very possible that the lender you work with comes back to you guys for help gathering stuff, because the checklist on the conventional side of things has gotten pretty big.
Man, I love checklists from lenders and banks. It makes me very happy.
I do too. Now the nice thing about how we are set up is we have a condo approval desk. We have a separate department in Luminate Home Loans that strictly just works with condo associations to get them approved for conventional financing. So I'm 4 for 4 right now, and next week it looks like the one that we have closing next week is going to close as well. So now I will be 5 for 5 on all the condos that I've worked on since September 18th. The closing we had yesterday in one of our condos, the closer, the title closer who we closed with, grabbed me and the buyer's agent, and she was talking about her experiences with other condos from other agents, other lenders, things like that, other condo deals that were going on. She said a majority of them have canceled halfway to 3/4 of the way through because of these new requirements, and the lender, the agent, everyone involved not being able to either figure out how to navigate through these new rules or not being able to collect the information to get approval on the condo for these new rules.
Wow. That's a big deal.
A big deal. I think, two things that I'm going to take from this, Mike, is obviously if I'm representing a seller, just giving them the heads up on that. Our market, our condo inventory, a lot of it is very affordable type of living condo purchases, and a lot of those buyers end up being cash buyers anyways. We did start seeing a nice increase in luxury condos being built. They're kind of revitalizing the downtown area of Sioux Falls, and we are getting some high-end stuff, but obviously, that's new construction. So if we're talking about structural, I don't really foresee too many issues with that. Or maybe I'm wrong, Mike.
The focus seems to be structural mainly. Any sort of mention of, there was a hailstorm that went through and there's going to be a possible, roof repairs that are coming up, or assessment to all the unit owners for these repairs. One of the ones we worked on, there was decks and roofs that had to be addressed and fixed. And so it's definitely structural. Most of these changes are around the structure. And then if there is some sort of structural concern that comes up, that's when they start asking for HOA meeting minutes. They start asking for inspections that have done, receipts for contractors that have done repairs on the units in the association. And the other thing too that stuck out to me working through these was they don't allow any repairs to be hanging out there or in process in the entire development. So if there's 200 units in this development, right? A lot of the condos are like townhouse style condos, right? We see that a lot up here, Jason, in the cities, where it looks like a townhouse, but it's legally a condo. Mm-hmm. And so now maybe you have 200 units in this condo association. They all look like townhomes. Well, half of them have had the roofs replaced, and the other half are in process of getting the roofs replaced. The new rules don't allow any units to have any sort of repairs going on at the time of closing. So even though your particular unit that you're working on has had the roof replaced and everything is done and there's no structural concerns there, if the rest of the association has active repairs going on, they won't allow the financing to close.
That's fascinating. So definitely doing your research beforehand to make sure that if those are in place, whether or not conventional financing is even a possibility. And if so, as a listing agent, get all of your docs gathered and put together so you don't have a delay.
Yep.
Yeah, and just giving the homeowner a heads up too, in terms of like, hey, if you're not concerned about taking advantage of possibly the largest buyer pool, people who want to have a conventional loan, maybe now is not the time to list. Maybe we need to wait until next summer when all those roofs do get, they get done. So,
yeah, and one of the deals that we had to do, we did have to move closing back 2 weeks because we have to reach out to the management company first for the information on 3 out of the 4 that have closed so far. And if I look at 4 out of the last 5 that I've worked on, this management company has basically come back and says, we don't have that information to provide to you. You're going to have to go directly to the association to get it. So we now have had to have the seller get involved. Seller, we need direct contact information for the president and some other people at the association so that we can reach out to them directly and get these additional things that Fannie and Freddie are requiring. So basically 4 out of the 5 that I've worked on since these new rules have gone in, it's going to the association themselves to get this stuff. And so my point here is that it's going to take additional time to get that information, because like I said, 4 out of the 5 we had to management company after 3 or 4 back and forths. They're just like, we can't provide that information. We just don't have access to that info. So now we got to get the association involved. A lot of time association presidents and stuff, they work a full-time job during the day and then they do association stuff at night. So sometimes the response time is a little bit slower, and you just got to allow additional time for that.
Yep.
So, but the good news is that Fannie and Freddie, you can submit the information to them and they can approve one-offs. So one of the files that we had to do, we only could collect about 80% of the stuff that's on their checklist. And the association, the management company's like, look, we just don't have the rest of the info. It just doesn't exist. You guys are going to have to figure it out. We sent that info to Fannie and Freddie, and they looked it over and they approved it. So that's an additional step that, even though you might not have everything on the checklist, if you have a majority of it, they'll take a look at it. And if they feel comfortable with it, then they'll approve it for financing and you're good to go. So,
well, what's nice is that you're 5 for 5. So, I mean, that's fantastic. So nice work.
Well, which this title closer, I didn't ask her what percentage we're canceling and stuff, but the way she grabbed us at this last closing and made it sound was that greater than 50% of the other condo deals that she had title stuff on were canceling because of the new regulations, and they just couldn't get the approval for
Holy
conventional
smokes.
financing on them.
That's a big
If it's
number of
baseball, you're doing
cancellations.
well.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
exactly. So it's just different again, right? This industry is always changing. Mortgage industry always changing. New rules, new guidelines. Real estate's always changing. It's one of those things we just have to adapt to it, and it's going to be new. And I think as we go on through time, things will get better. You'll figure out how to navigate through that stuff, and you'll be good. But these guidelines are newer, and anytime you change something right out of the gate, it's going to be more difficult. Which brings me, so I know Evan's microphone's not working, but I was going to ask him on the insurance side of things, condo stuff. What have you seen for changes? I'm sure there's got to be the same type of different requirements and stuff that insurance companies are probably making these associations meet.
The changes that I've seen have largely been the same sorts of changes that we're seeing across the board. Clamping down on roof restrictions. The roof must be replaced within the last, 10 years or 8 years, as opposed to 15 or 20 on a lot of these buildings now and stuff like that. But as far as documentation to be provided beforehand, the insurance companies do care that the work has been performed, but generally speaking, it's pretty easy to confirm that to their satisfaction for underwriting requirements for a policy. And that hasn't really changed. The one big one, and I've run into this a few times with condo associations, is there will be a wind, hail, loss, roof replacement, something like that here, Colorado, wherever. And the insurance company wants to attribute that to a specific storm. There are what are called CAT codes for major storm events that roll through and affect, lots and lots of homes and businesses and stuff. And getting in touch with the association and figuring out actually when that loss occurred and what CAT code was assigned to that loss can be a big pain in the butt. But that's nothing new.
Yeah, so structural concerns is the biggest thing for the insurance companies. That seems to be the focus, the very focus of these new guidelines that came out from Fannie and Freddie. It is mainly structurally related. They obviously have to carry the proper insurance, which they have always had to carry in order to get financing. These associations, they've had to have reserves, and they've had to be financially strong. I really didn't see any changes on the financial side of things. It's all about the actual structures inside this association and what's going on with them.
Yeah, I think we'll also probably see some changes to the restrictions on the basis of what you're talking about with places that are built as townhomes but are billed as condos. The fact that there are some of these places that 200, 300, 400 unit associations that are across 15 or 20 different buildings and several square miles, and it's like that building has nothing to do with my unit. I foresee those things changing again in the future once that is realized.
Yeah. Yeah, they're definitely blanketing, thinking like your traditional condo, right? You got a big apartment looking like building, and those are condos. A lot of the stuff that we're doing, actually, every single one, the 5 for 5 coming out of this, they're all townhouse style condos. I mean, it's you roll in there and there's a, it's a 8, townhome complex for that building, and then there's another 8-unit building there, another 8 there, and you go through the development. It's just all 8-unit townhouses. So
I
it's
think that in all of my working here, I've never encountered a true townhome association here in the cities. It's almost all set up as a condo type association, where there's a master policy that's owned by the association for the buildings.
right.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever written a policy for someone that actually owns the exterior of their townhome here in Minnesota. I have in other states, but not here in Minnesota. So
Very, very, very common there. If you're watching our show live, join our conversation here. Go into the chat, type in a question or comment in the chat. Go ahead and either call or text our real estate hotline number. So that is 612-234-7585. Again, 612-234-7585. All right, so let's go to our list here. We're covering the top 10 most expensive mistakes you're making on your home, and I'm actually going to add one here for Marcus and Jason at the end here. So top 11 most expensive mistakes you're making on your home. Number 1, using traditional light bulbs.
Yep. I think that I definitely resisted for as many years as I could to switch to the new LED light bulbs. I mean, I think the main reason initially was the light was very different, or it seemed very different to me. Since then, I think the technology has advanced. I'll tell you what, the one thing that I've really appreciated is the lights on the front of our house. So we've got, I don't know, I mean, there's 10 or 12 of them in the soffits. And so they would, up until a couple of years ago, I was climbing up on that darn roof once or twice a year to change these stupid bulbs. And so finally I said to Liz, my wife, I'm like, look, that I'm done. We're going to do it all right now. So I went and got I think they're like a 14-year light bulb, exterior light bulb. And I changed them all. And so, that was 2 or 3 years ago. Haven't had any bulbs go out since then. So there's definitely some benefits inside the house. We've been switching out to the LED lights over the years. Actually, in our Remax office last week, they were just talking about how they're going to be switching out all of the lights into LED lights in the whole building, which will probably take a number of years. But yeah, I mean, money savings. They're more efficient. They last longer. They're dimmable now. I think that they're a great option.
I think one of the two, when LED bulbs first came out too, the cost of the bulbs, the cost was just so much more expensive than your standard, whatever,
Yes.
your incandescent light bulb. Now, Jason, being that you just bought some bulbs, I mean, what was the cost of those things? I mean, does it look more like a standard bulb
Yeah, they were probably double the price, but I mean, they last 3 or 4 times as long. So, I mean, they're definitely reasonable now.
Yeah, so that was number 1 list. So on the top 11 most expensive mistakes you're making in your home, number 1 was using traditional light bulbs. Number 2, ignoring a leaky faucet.
Drip. It can cause so much damage. I think we talked about this a little bit on the show a few weeks ago, but we actually put they're like a moisture alarm thing that goes in the sink, below the sinks and by the washers. And because you just don't know, right? But a leaky faucet can result in other issues and other repairs. So I think that, yeah, plus, I don't know about you guys, but a leaky faucet that drips drives me nuts. So
good luck trying to sleep through that, right? Bloop.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, and it's funny, like not funny, but it's pretty incredible, like how much water will actually come out of a leaky faucet, like how many gallons, in a day will leak out of a leaky faucet. It's pretty mind blowing how much water you're wasting by that, depending on obviously how bad the leak is and such. So that was number 2 on the list of 10, 11 most expensive mistakes you're making at home. Number 3, using the wrong size air filter.
Yeah, almost as bad as not having a filter at all, right?
Right? Yeah. So I'm wondering. So I'm guessing. If you use an air filter that is too large. If you're using like a 4-inch air filter when your furnace only calls for like a 1-inch, right?
Yeah.
So
Then it
now,
wouldn't fit, right? Wouldn't it be kind of the opposite?
yeah. I mean, it wouldn't. You would think it wouldn't fit, right? But I'm
Stuff it in there.
So they say they.
Yeah,
Well, that's
I
the
don't
thing.
think
It's
so.
just think how much more resist. No, you take it, you smash it
You
like
fold it.
yeah, you smash it together so it's only an inch, and then you stuff it down in there. But I'm sure it's pertaining to, the restricting the airflow, and now your fan has to now blow that much harder to get the air through it, and so then you're eating up more electricity.
You talk to those HVAC guys, and I mean, unless you have some sort of health issue, health concern with the air, allergies, whatever it might be, I mean, they almost everybody's going to say go with the cheapest air filter that you can find. If you do have that half-inch, 3/4 inch, whatever size it is, get the blue ones. They're like 90 some cents a filter. For that one reason, Mike, is because those, when they're saying, yeah, we can stop, viruses and all this dust and all the pollen, it's like, well, sure, but you're also reducing your airflow probably, who knows, however many percent. But I mean, the HVAC guys always say that if you want to have a more efficient air exchange and AC unit, if you don't have any reason to get the really expensive pollen virus stopper filters, just go with the cheap ones, and your airflow is going to be better and your bills are going to be cheaper.
Yeah, I think it might be referring to a filter that's too small. I saw one in it was either a showing or a seller's house that we were selling a number of years ago, and it was too small, and what had happened is it half of it had like sucked into the HVAC. I'm like, I can't believe they didn't burn the house down from the filter getting sucked all the way through up into the furnace. But it was, yeah, you got to make sure that it's the right size.
Number 4 on our list of top 11 most expensive mistakes you're making on your home: not customizing your temperature.
Mm-hmm.
Programmable thermostats.
Yep.
Set. Have a when you're home, you can have it set one way. If you're away, have it set. In the wintertime for us, having it set lower so you're not heating a house where no one's home to enjoy the heat.
Yeah, and I think different times of day too, right? I mean, just to have that program so at night when everyone's sleeping, it goes down to a certain temp, and then certainly if no one's there during the day, that would be different than if you were. So I think that's a great option to save some money and be more efficient.
I think there's a fine line that you walk, right? I mean, if you're a homeowner down south, you got 110-degree days, and you say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and let my house heat up to 100 degrees. It's like, well, yeah, that AC is going to be having to run full throttle all evening, all night to get it back down to where it should. So I'm sure that there's got to be a fine line in terms of saying, yeah, I mean, you maybe want to scale back 6, 7, 8 degrees. Maybe that's maybe even that's too much. But again, I mean, I think maybe default to an HVAC specialist to see what they would suggest in terms of like, hey, when we're gone for work or school, the kids are gone for school, how much can we change that thermostat?
Yep, very good points there. Number 5 on our list here: not adjusting air vents properly. So I think of our kids on this, right? If we have all had young kids, we all have young kids right now, right? How many times have you gone on the living room, right, or in your office, something where the kids spend a lot of time at, and you go by there and the air vents are all shut?
Yeah.
Or there's a toy shoved down them, right, or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like I see it all the time. I bet 3 times a week I'm going by and I'm like, oh, that air vent, that thing's closed, or it's got, it's got pillows, or it's got blankets, it's got something sit on top of it, where it's completely basically non-functional.
Yeah. Or in the summer, you're going to probably close your lower level air vents on purpose, right? And so whether it's keeping them open or keeping them closed, depending on the season, I mean that can definitely save money.
So that was
cold
number
air sinks. No reason to let your AC be cooling off your basement that is already, it seems like it's 10, 12 degrees cooler than the main level or the two-story if for some of you guys who've got the two-story homes. And so let that cold air sink, close up those vents maybe during the summer or have them a little bit cracked just to let some air flow and it'll be good to go.
Number 6 on our list here of the top 11 most expensive mistakes you're making on your home: overwatering your lawn.
Oh,
I'm guilty of this. I am so guilty of this.
Yeah, it's that can be a tough one for some people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of people take pride in their lawns, a lot of work, and it's like, that's your kids are out there playing. You want it to be, look nice. You want it to be nice for them to be on, things like that.
Yeah.
Having brown, crunchy grass is definitely not something that any of us really enjoy or want.
No, I think it's a challenge too in Minnesota because and South Dakota, because you've got summer, you've got 4 or 5 months that you're probably going to be watering your lawn, but there's such a large temperature change. I mean, it could be 1 month where you're sitting in the mid to high 80s, mid 90s, and and then the next month it's not as hot or hotter, but when the the irrigation guys come out, I mean, they set it in the spring, and then it generally doesn't get messed with too much during the whole year. So, I think that, man, there's got to be a better way to regulate that watering based on outside temperatures, because that's a big reason why you're wasting too much water, is because you set it, and then even though the temperatures range quite a bit throughout the summer, it stays the same. So
it gets real windy in Sioux Falls. So, I mean, when we have those warm days in the summer, it's usually a southern wind that's coming up from, the Gulf of Mexico. And I mean, it's blowing 30, 40 miles per hour. And it's just remarkable how fast that'll dry things out. We have those cool temperature types of grasses up here. Kentucky bluegrass, kind of being a sod farms, go to, a species of grass. And one thing that you can do, I know if you kind of talk to any of the lawn guys here in the Midwest, an inch of rain or inch of water per week is what you want to do. Anything more than that, you're kind of washing out the nutrients in there. So, you can go ahead and just buy a nice water gauge, rain gauge, and just stick it in the ground per station and make sure that you're collecting that inch of rain, inch of water per week. And that's kind of that good. But I mean, right now, I had my system blown out about 2 weeks ago. If we get a little sprinkle like we're supposed to here today and tomorrow, I mean, that soil is going to stay wet up until it freezes probably. So, I mean, again, changing it for the season is very important.
I'm smiling, Marcus, because I'm still watering the crap out of mine.
Are you? You're lucky. I would have too last year. I waited too long. My vacuum component of the sprinkler system, it froze, it broke, it sprayed water all over the side of my house. That side of the house froze. It was like a big old sheet of ice all over the siding. And so I got a little nervous this year. And I'll tell you one thing, since we're talking about expensive watering bills, new construction, you got to water the sod like 3 times a day, especially if you get sod late in the summer. Not this house that we had built a couple years ago, even though that it was, sod got laid in June and it was really hot. But the first house we bought was a spec home about 7 years ago. First time I've ever had sod, new construction sod, and I just watered it and watered and watered. Well, I got a call from the city. The city said, "Hey, don't shoot the messenger here, but you got yourself a water bill coming in a couple days, and it's pretty large." And I'm like, okay, how large? And $1,200. Oh, spent a ton. I'm still embarrassed to this day about how many gallons that I used. I mean, it was, I'm embarrassed. I bad situation.
You take a loan out for that bill.
Yeah, geez, $1,200, crazy.
that must have been like a couple 100,000 gallons or something. I mean,
I don't
that's
even
a-
want to say it
that's a
out
big
loud.
tub.
I don't even want to say it out loud. It was, because in our Sioux Falls, we have 3 tiers. Tier 1
Right.
water use, that rate's not bad. Tier 2, there's a
Yeah.
little upcharge for it. But if you get into Tier 3, they get you with that rate.
They-
And I
they
had a
take it,
whole
yeah.
lot in Tier 3. So, not good.
Down there at the city, they have this bell that they ring when someone hits tier 3. They're like, ding, 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 got another tier 3 over here.
Yep, give them a call. Give them the warning before the bill arrives. So, I was, But it was green.
Whew, it was-
So, no.
damn, it's green.
Number 7. So that was number 6 in our list, overwatering your lawn. Number 7, and this is my wife all day long, water heater temperature set too high.
Mhm.
My wife is immune to hot water. Like I think when she showers, it like literally I could reach over there and be like, that literally is melting my skin off. I don't know how you're standing in that right now. Right. And so we obviously have our water heater set pretty high there, but
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure that's a common one.
Yeah, I bet it is too. I think some people don't realize you can adjust the water heater, and the hotness or the heat level. So, but that's another great one, Mike. Because yeah, the hotter the water, the more it's going to cost. So
Mike, do you guys have an instant water heater, or is it the tank?
We have a tank. We haven't done any of the instant stuff yet.
Maybe now's the time.
Worth it?
I don't know. I guess if the missus likes it so hot, then she can, get the hot water right away, and maybe that'll help you out some.
Maybe.
all right, so we had a text message come in from actually a longtime listener and client of ours. He said that this was an air filter that he dug out of a duplex that he owns. Just a few weeks ago, it hadn't been changed in 3 years. Let's see if you guys can see that.
Oh my goodness.
Air filter that has not been changed in 3 years.
I can't
pretty
quite
crazy.
see it.
It doesn't even look like there's anything
Oh,
left.
there it is. Oh
There
my
it is.
gosh.
Look at that thing.
Just destroyed
It's like
in
the
black.
the rodents went through it and everything.
It looks like you took a weed whacker to it or something and just chewed it up. That is wild. Andy, thanks for sending that in.
Frame it.
Best airflow he's had in that duplex for a while.
Yeah. Hopefully he's not having to pay the utilities and
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that you'll definitely be more efficient once you get that fixed.
Number 8 on our list, leaky windows and doors. I mean, we all know that, right? I mean,
Big time.
the efficiency of windows and doors plays a huge part in how efficient your home's going to be and how much you're going to be able to cut your utility bills down by.
Yeah, and even if they're not leaky, but if you have really old windows, for example, if they're single pane, those can be pretty inefficient. We still have clients that have very old homes that have single pane windows that in some of the rooms in the winter they'll put up the kind of that plastic sheathing, and then they use the blow dryer to make it all tight. But anything single pane or leaky windows, doors, those can cost you money.
Number 9, paying a handyman. Now, this could be expensive, or it could be actually saving you money, depending on how handy you are.
Yeah.
The last thing you want to do is take on a project you think you can do on your own, and now you just completely mess it up, and now you got to pay to not only take care of the repair that you originally wanted to do, but now you got to fix your mistakes first, and then actually do the repair and make it more expensive that way.
Yeah, so I'm not very handy, and I think most people know that about me. So it is more cost effective for me to have someone come out and take care of it in most cases. Although I was pretty proud of myself a couple months ago. I changed out a light switch and I did not electrocute myself, so that was a win. Although I did have to YouTube how to do it. So, but I did get it done.
There's nothing wrong with it. You YouTube, if you got to get a little, watch a how-to video. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Nope. Got it done.
I mean, if it's going to keep you from getting electrocuted, I'd say that's a good play.
That's a bonus.
Number 10, ignoring curled shingles.
Yeah. A lot of reasons that's bad. Leaky roof and leaks into the house. We had a client of ours that just purchased a house. They had some ice dams over the winter. So not a bad roof, but ice dams, which then leaked onto the hardwood floors. Well, they couldn't match them, so they had to rip up, and almost the entire main level was hardwood floors. 30 grand. 30 grand is what it cost.
Yikes.
So just from that roof leak. So
Yeah. Well, and just on the insurance side, two things. I'm sure Evan's just like, curled shingles is like a 4-letter word, to the insurance guys out there. And then number 11. So this is for you guys. Number 11. This is what I came up with. Of the top 11 most expensive mistakes you're making on your home is over improving your property.
Yep.
Right? You want to do a remodel. Where are you sticking your money, and how crazy are you going with it? So that's, if you want to redo your kitchen, I mean, you can go crazy on kitchens. Pretty easy to spend a lot of money. Are you going to get dollar for dollar that money back by making those improvements?
Yeah, that's a great point, Mike. And we see that often. We'll have sellers come in and, they did major over improvements, and whether it's, basement or elaborate bars or this, amazing pool with all this landscaping, and they're just their home, what they have into the home is far greater than any comp in the neighborhood. And so you definitely got to be careful about making those improvements, but ask yourself the question: why are you making the improvements? Is it for investment purposes for the house, or is it just simply because you want it? And if it's because you want something that changes or improves your lifestyle, then that's different. And there's certainly nothing wrong with that. But identify the main reason why you're doing the improvement, and make sure you're doing the improvement that follows that.
Yeah, I'll kind of take onto that too, Jason. You kind of go back to our first comment about the light bulbs. I mean, if you're selling a house, I'm sorry, the buyers aren't going to care that you spent $500-$600 on new LED lights. Just make sure all the lights are working, and everybody's going to be happy. Buyers not going to care. So that might be just a little heads up on that too.
Yeah, that is a misconception sometimes with sellers. It's like, well, I got brand new windows on this thing. I got brand new roof. Of course it's worth more. Not necessarily the case. The buyers just expects that the windows function, properly, and that the roof, functions properly, not necessarily because it's brand new. It's worth more.
Correct.
I mean, you may get a buyer more excited about the property. I mean, there's definitely no denying that, right? I mean, if you're a first time home buyer and you have new shingles and the windows and this 80-year-old house just got replaced in the last 10 years, I mean, that buyer's gonna be saying, "God, I'm not going to have to pay for those items," and they may be more confident, in being more aggressive with pursuing your house. But in terms of thinking like, hey, that means that you told me that it was worth $400,000, I've put 20 grand into it, that means we're gonna list it for $420. It's like, well, no, I mean, that's not necessarily the case.
Correct.
Yeah, great points there. Well, gentlemen, as our show comes to the end this week, we want to thank everyone for tuning in live, or catching us on the podcast at a later time. You can find us anywhere you find your podcasts, and on our website, ushometalk.com. We're here to help with all your real estate financing needs here in Minnesota, South Dakota, and across the entire country. I'm Mike Overson on behalf of Jason Walgrave and Marcus Walgrave. Appreciate you listening. We'll catch you next week.